Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we're going to be exposing the churches that operate in the metaverse, in virtual reality, the not so worldly, not so vast, not so developed metaverse, which is Facebook's attempt to regain their edge on big tech. Because Facebook's kind of fallen out of favor because they don't have the young eyeballs. They don't have young people on Facebook the same way they do boomers. So, with that said, Facebook is kind of on the decline, and they have been for a while, and the metaverse is their vision to get back on top. To get back on top. So, that is what is going on with the metaverse, because let's be honest about it. The metaverse is not worth the hype. And I did a video on this a while ago about the metaverse and how it's more hype. This is just more of the same nonsense that we've been seeing for decades. Longer than I've been alive, we've been touting technological achievements that never came to fruition. All the while, we had technological achievements that vastly exceeded our expectations. And where you see this the most is sci-fi. So, for instance, in science fiction, going back to the 60s, they predicted human beings would have a lot more capabilities in space travel. That has not come to fruition. Not even close. Not even close. That has not come close to fruition. We are nowhere near where any sci-fi in the 60s thought we would be in terms of space travel. However, where they were wrong in the 1960s, in the opposite direction, was computer technology. They did not have the vision of what computers would look like in the future. So, human beings are very terrible at predicting future technological advances, in my opinion. More recent examples being that we thought autonomous driving, like they were saying how autonomous driving vehicles would be dominant on the road by this year. It's 2022. Or electric vehicles by this year. There's been a lot of hype, especially with cars, which is kind of odd because that is going to be a slower moving industry because people still own cars that were built before a lot of these technological advances are said to have arrived. So it's very clear that we are terrible at predicting future technological innovation, and the metaverse is just the latest claim of this. So let's dive into the metaverse. This is VR Church. Don't forget to like the video, also subscribe to the channel. Just to kind of get this out there because this is unique content that you're not going to really see a whole lot of on a lot of even Christian YouTube channels. So VR Church is this church that operates solely in the metaverse, as it's called. And really, I think the only reason to call it a metaverse is the fact that Facebook rebranded themselves as Meta, and this is their universe that thrives off of Oculus Rift, or Oculus, the Oculus Quest platform. I don't think Oculus Rift is something else. Oculus is the company that Facebook bought many years ago that pioneered virtual reality technology. So this is VR Church. VR Church in the metaverse. VR Church is a spiritual community which exists entirely in the metaverse to celebrate God's love for the world, even though they're not really operating in the world. They're operating in a virtual reality. I like the irony there. We believe church can be anywhere at any time with anyone, even in the metaverse. The metaverse is an immersive virtual reality experience where we can work, socialize, and even go to church. So that's what they call. Let's look at what they call immersive.
Hey,
I've not seen this before.
welcome to Virtual Reality Church. My name is Alina, and I'm a pastor here at Virtual Reality Church. And behind me here, we have our church family from all over the globe. And everyone is welcome at Virtual Reality Church. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. So grab a headset and download AltSpace, Rec Room, or VR Chat, and come experience something that you have never experienced before.
Okay, so as you can see, those were some cutting edge graphics. Let me tell you. Now, I believe that if I remember Xbox 360s, I believe you could create an avatar, a full bodied avatar for an Xbox 360, and it was superior to those turds, those graphical turds that you saw in Facebook's Metaverse. That was like a step up from the Wii, those Wii avatars. And again, the Wii came out in like 2006, by the way, in case anyone, I believe that's when the Wii came out. So that technology looks, those graphics look terrible. Uh, you're looking at Minecraft level graphics with barely above Wii level avatars. And this is supposed to be the future. This is supposed to be the future. They don't have it. This is like the Truth Social of platforms here. Virtual reality. Like this is Truth Social version of that. This is pathetic, Facebook. This is pathetic. So a couple of highlights, and I'll point that out more here. So let's go to their beliefs, because obviously it was pretty explicit that this was not a real church. They don't really believe in anything. So this is their faith statement, and it's an Apostles' Creed variant. It doesn't even take out the more theologically dubious part of the Apostles' Creed, that Jesus ascended into hell, which is a claim that was not in the original version of the Apostles' Creed, by the way. So that's a very dubious claim, and they leave that one in there, but I don't know the Apostles' Creed well enough to quite know where their difference is. And then it says, we believe God loves the metaverse and wants everyone to know it. So they believe, their core conviction is that God loves the metaverse and wants everyone to know it. To know that God loves the metaverse, or to know the metaverse. Either one, let's just say both. We believe that everyone is welcome to church. It doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. We believe the fivefold ministry is vital to unleashing our God-given destiny. Find out which fivefold you are by clicking here. So what is this, a personality test? Well, that is not a good link. So let's look at their leadership here. Their elders, Pastor Bismick. Bismick is a youth pastor from Germany, a trained historian and philosopher, both master's degree, and a doctoral candidate, and a metal band singer, which is actually kind of cool. At the age of 17, he experienced Jesus' life-saving power, which since then has been the anchor and goal of his life. His favorite VR game is Iron Wolf because of his favorite movie, U-96. I've never seen that movie. His favorite, it might be a German movie. His favorite beer, and they have this in British spelling, by the way. I thought that's kind of interesting. But he might have written this, a German dude might have written this description, so that's probably why. His favorite beer is good old Franconian Hoopendorfer. And, just a aside is that Germans make the best beer, in my opinion. Not the Belgians, the Germans. And then we got Pastor Alina. Alina was a flight attendant and had a passion for skydiving till she became disabled about 10 years ago. She has an autoimmune condition as well as a rare disorder called erythromelalgia. These keep her confined to home majority of the time. She is now a pastor at VR Church and has started a charity giving VR headsets to those in need. Just pause right there. You're in such need. Like, let's just help the less fortunate by giving them virtual reality headsets here. Let's just do that for a second here. Wow. How lofty. Thank you. Thank you for giving me. I was starving, and I was in prison, and I was naked, and you clothed me with a virtual reality headset. Thank you. Thank you. She is married to a loving, supportive husband and is blessed to have her VR family. She says she has never known so much love as she does today. Well, isn't that nice? And we got more. We got Pastor Wilco from the Netherlands. He's the architect for Virtual Reality Church. That means each week he builds new worlds for the upcoming sermon. For example, if the setting is the sermon on the Sea of Galilee or the location in Jerusalem, Wilco will build the experience. He supports the teaching team with props, environments, and special effects for the worlds he builds for VR Church. Or in VR Church. Outside of VR, Wilco delivers mail on his moped. Sorry, my bad. I'm so manly. I don't read that word often. Tries to attain the coveted diamond status in Overwatch and supports his favorite Netherlands soccer team, Ajax. And I guess this is a picture here of the world he's built, and that's pathetic. Again, not cutting edge technology. Let's just read more because this is interesting to me. Because this is very international, as you can see. Uh, Pastor Zach is a native Ohioan who currently lives in Tennessee with his wife Amanda and their two daughters Nora and Ellie. Zach loves dissecting American Christian dogma, challenging people who make their faith their own. He would love if you asked him what this means and having meaningful, in-depth conversations about theology. Zach stumbled into VR Church in mid-2017 and was immediately captivated by the potential of this ministry. He's excited about the ability of technology to bring people together across geographical regions to learn, teach, and pray together. And we got more female pastors. Pastor Kari received bachelor's of arts in Bible with a missions emphasis. For the most part of her life, she's had a passion to take the Bible to places it does not yet exist. For the past 10 years, she has studied natural health, learning all the ways that God gave us to heal spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and how those are all connected. Besides studying nutrition and documenting VR Church stories, she enjoys spending her time with her family. One of her favorite things to do is explore new places. Her 3 boys, 2 girls, and her husband, Pastor DJ, who is not one of the pastors here, by the way. So her husband's a pastor, presumably at a real church. And yes, this is to say that this is not a real church. Coco, and this is not even her real name, is a pastor of MMO Church in Final Fantasy XIV. So this is a church within a video game. And hails from Southeast Texas. She's also the author and consultant for VR shops and teams and mentors UX professionals in order to enable them to create more compelling, user-friendly, immersive experiences for their clients. In her free time, she also likes to play video games, design and build furniture, and study the Japanese language. She's one of those white people. All right, so now that we've gotten that, let's see their board. This is pretty interesting. So we got Bishop. Oh, wait. Oh, that was her wife. That was his wife. Sorry, I thought his name was BJ Soto. So Pastor, that was his wife. That was the pastor. So DJ Soto is the head of this church. This is his background is he began preaching in the Metaverse in 2016, originally thinking that they would plant physical churches. They soon realized a new vision to plant churches in the Metaverse. He is now the bishop of Virtual Reality Church. And, I know that bishop is a biblical term, but the people that use bishop to describe themselves, they are shady in my opinion. Just gotta be real about that. And then we got Michelle Salvant. So she's a ministry leader and entrepreneur. She owns Le Michel Media, a company specializing in the use of emerging media technologies to help churches and ministries move forward. So this is kind of a plant here, or a venture. So that's what's key to realize with this board. That's why the governing board is very fascinating to me, because um, it's their it's who is planting this church, what organizations are involved in planting and propping up this fake facade of a church. So, and this is one of them. And then we got Christy Childers, who is an employment brand manager at Facebook. So this is a Christian that is allowed to continue working at Facebook, despite publicly being a Christian. Seems pretty shady to me. Seems pretty shady to me. Now, I wonder if she was one of the people involved in a. There's a website that someone wanted me to research a long time ago, because they were like these tech people that created a website about Christianity and technology and kind of the intersection. And I kind of responded back to that tip saying this website has no traction, and that my website at the time, and probably still, is bigger than them. So there's no use in kind of elevating that website to give them attention. I don't know whether that church, she was a part of that, but her background seems very familiar. Uh, then we got Nick Runyon, CEO at Media Tractor, which, let's see, is a digital agency that he founded in 2015. It supports businesses and nonprofits, so it's just another marketing company, I guess. Victor Soto, who is the father of Pastor DJ Soto. So very interesting. You got a lot of companies involved in this, Facebook being one of them. And we can also check out the merch store, which is a spread shop, which no diss on spread shop, because Evangelical Dark Web merch is via spread shop, because it doesn't cost me anything, and it doesn't cost them anything. These are a little expensive. And actually, no, it's decently priced, actually. So let's look at the MMO guide. This is another. The idea of putting a church in a video game. So this is a church plant that VR Church is involved in, and it just shows that, again, there's nothing here. It's just, to me, it's a LARP. This is a LARP where people who like video games also they like video games so much that they want to play church in video games. That's what this is. I do want to show you one last thing, and this is some of the preaching that goes on in the metaverse. Again, look at this cutting edge technology where the characters don't even have arms. Arms are optional here. You know where we're going, we won't need arms.
Being a follower of Jesus Christ is in no way like being an independent contractor. We don't get to have the benefits of being a Christian, like forgiveness and heaven and community and fellowship and encouragement and purpose. We don't get to have those benefits. And then when Jesus commands us to do something hard, we don't get the ability then to say, Get out of my face, Jesus. Here's my 1099. We don't get to wave the 1099 in Jesus' face and say, maybe you forgot our relationship, Jesus. You give me the good stuff, but I'm not going to do anything for you that causes me discomfort. That's not how it works, my friends. We can't do that. That's not true Christianity, even though that message is often preached, that it's all about getting goods from Jesus and not about sacrificing for him. Now, here's the good news about Jesus gives us a rationale in verses 24 and 25. I love this because I don't know if any of you are parents, but when my kids, when I tell them to do something, and sometimes they'll come back at me, why, Dad? You ever heard that? I did that when I was a kid. Why? Give me a reason, Dad. You have to explain it to me why you're...
So I just want to pause for some observations. So this is what a church looks like in the metaverse, a supposed church, which really it's a LARP. So you go in, and I'm sure it looks better in person, but I doubt it sounds better and by in person, I mean if you're wearing the Oculus Quest 2 and are in this room in the Oculus. I'm sure it looks better than it does the recording of it. However, I doubt it sounds better. The audio quality is garbage. The preaching was also garbage, and I'll be honest, this was a randomly selected sample. I was just looking through, like peeking through, and I saw this illustration where he had the contractor versus employee. I'm like, oh man, what's he gonna say here? And I just kind of played it for you, because I wasn't afraid that this was gonna be good, or I knew this would be bad. So, and it was a very cringe analogy, just because it only speaks to a certain type of person, and it's not always true. There are benefits to being an independent contractor, just as there are benefits to being an employee. There are benefits to both sides, especially you can write off a lot as an independent contractor when it comes to taxation. So with that said, again, the graphics suck. The sound quality was bad. But this is supposed to be the future. This is an emerging technology. No, this is a technology that's been around for 10 plus years that's trying to be exploited by a company that's run out of ideas and is desperate and grasping for straws in order to capture the next generation. And since video games are basically, for younger audiences, that is the dominating form of entertainment for younger audiences. This is Facebook's attempt to cater to that market, to future customers. That's what this is. We shouldn't really pretend like the metaverse is a real thing. These churches are falling into the scheme of Facebook and their attempt to regain their relevancy. Looks like this still hasn't loaded yet. And then this is the MMO church website, and we kind of went through them. It's cringe. There's no theology here at all. And this is not a movement that's going to catch on. And I do want to be clear that that was not the same Metaverse church that I've been talking about. That was a physical location, I think, that has a virtual reality church. But I'm not sure whether they had a separate sermon or not for that church. But that was a Cornerstone VR church. Is the one whose sermon sample I played. Just to be clear. So, with that said, that's a deep dive into the cringe world of the Metaverse church universe, and it sucks. But that's really all I got to say about that. This is not catching on because they can't back up their technology. This technology looks garbage, and for that reason, it will not catch on. This is a waste of time for churches to pursue. This is a gimmick for churches to pursue. Maybe if the technology improves and, it's like a Matrix level of graphics, and then we can talk. Then we can have a legitimate conversation about whether the church should be going into the metaverse to preach. It's not like you can't go into the metaverse to preach, and then by preach, I mean operated church. That's what I mean by that. And it's not the case. And, again, maybe there's an instance where Christians, they can't access a church, but they can access an Oculus Rift and get together in a virtual reality setting to have fellowship. Maybe that's a possibility, but that's not what these people are doing. And let's not give them credit for doing something that they're not doing. So, anyway, that is our deep dive into the cringe world of the virtual reality church. And that's all I got to say about that. Leave a comment below what you think about what I think, and I'll catch you on the next one.